TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the Breakfast Bankroll with good friend, colleague, partner, sponsor, Travis Geiger, CXO of WagerWire. We are super stoked to track him down. It's been a couple of weeks, whether it's been New York City, Malta, now back in Cali, getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. And, of course, a shout-out to our partnership with WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, please head on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. Get yourself acclimated to the app. Scroll to the bottom. Find out all the sports books that are alive and active in your state. Download them. Take advantage of the promos, the match plays, the bonus offers, etc. And if you want to join this amazing team and community, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, Amber, Mandy. The list is endless. Get on board before this train leaves the tracks and leaves you in the caboose. So without further ado, let's bring in the star of this show, the one and only, Mr. Travis Geiger. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. The timing couldn't be better. The landscape team has already came and gone. It looks like Augusta here, and I'm super stoked to be in the studio and chatting with you right now.
I couldn't be happier to be here, man. It's been a journey. We're back.
Yeah, we were able to talk to you en route on your way to New York City, and then from there you tiptoed to Malta. I was talking to you backstage. Where is Malta? And then you're back to Cali. So give everyone who's living through your eyes what the journey's been like, and give us what the week in Malta was all about.
Yeah, happy to share the journey. Appreciate everybody who's part of the community who lets us keep growing. So started in New York for us, this SBC, the conference, one of the biggest sports betting conferences. We were nominated for Rising Star of the Year and Sports Affiliate of the Year at their award show there at the Meadowlands. And it was a really great week there. The day that we walked in was the day that the ESPN article dropped about Wayne Shelton's $1.7 million Thunder parlay, which we can get into that story. I got some inside baseball that might be interesting. And then the day that we were walking into the award ceremony, me and Guy are actually sharing a hotel room. My co-founder, it's me, Guy, and Zach. So me and Guy are sharing a hotel room, and they're talking about Wayne's bet on ESPN because it had been on ESPN.com. We look up. Actually, I can share the window right here if you want to.
Sure,
we look up on the TV, and Guy just yells, "Oh, mama!" And it says WagerWire right there on ESPN. They had the cash out value of $100,000 and the WagerWire value of like 220. And it was a really interesting moment for us because here's, ESPN, which has ESPN bet. They're talking about a DraftKings bet, but they're also acknowledging that the cash out price that he's being offered to consider is not the true price of the bet, right? The true price of the bet, the replacement, if you wanted to walk up to the window and place Thunder straight up, you'd have to lay about 220 at that time before this, series really started to slide to win 1.7. So we had buyers lining up because obviously they're getting a discount. They're offering Wayne all sorts of money. This is in real time. And as the series is going, as we're at the conference and then into the weekend, he turns down $100,000. He turns down $150,000. And as we know, he ends up capitulating and cashing out for $80K on DraftKings straight from the source. So that was an interesting ride. From New York, I went to North Carolina. My sister graduated Duke. got to see Jerry Seinfeld give an amazing commencement speech. And then from there, we flew to Malta, which is south of Sicily, north of Africa, much more south than you would think. It's smack in the middle of the Mediterranean. It's a really old rock. It's got castles, and I mean, the conference was in a castle. It's got palaces, and then it's got a little bit of a North African flavor to it. It's like a crossroads of the world. It's maybe I think it's the only European country whose native language is Arabic based instead of Latin based. The cuisine is really cool. There's definitely certain magic to it. The Knights Templar, if you're into that. I wouldn't say Illuminati, but there's definitely a heavy vibe going on there. It's a headquarters for a lot of the sports books that you guys know, iGaming that you guys know that are watching. They're all headquartered in Malta because of tax purposes, because of licensing purposes. So what we really found out, which is really cool, is going upstream, this doesn't exist in Europe. It doesn't exist in Asia. It doesn't exist in Australia, meaning the ability to sell a bet once it's placed. The way that we're doing it, the exchanges exist, but this idea of an aftermarket and the way we've envisioned it doesn't exist. So there's an international opportunity for us. And it's been really cool. So you get to see right here, this is in our hotel room in New York City, Kendrick Perkins talking about how hearing the voice of his grandfather say, "Take the money, Kendrick, take the money." And if you zoom in a little bit further, we can see the cash out option he was getting was $100K from DraftKings. The current expected value at that time was $228,000. And anyone who wants to find out their cash out value can go to wagerwire.com/calculator. And right here, the calculator, you can build your parlay legs if you want to. Here, like we did for the Wayne ticket, that's what got on here. You can put in your straight bet here. Also, don't forget about the graph, which I'm sure we can get to later today. That's one of the favorites that me and Jeff like to do here. We can even put in, if we wanted to, the Thunder, just to watch them go nosedive to zero. And Bupe. So there. So not a great outcome.
I got to ask you this because I know people want to know. This journey didn't start last night. It's a long journey going back to UCLA. The thought process, the ticket, the Packers ticket, the Venmo, to see where you are today, and still a long way to go. But you're moving obviously in the right direction. But tell us honestly, the thoughts when you see Perk, ESPN, you see WagerWire, you guys pinching yourself. What are you thinking right then?
Well, I tell you what, it was really surreal because I've been trying to get this idea out there, not just for our own business sense, but just really educate the public about us, and really to put pressure on the sports books to be like, hey, not only is this cool and it's going to benefit you, but this is something every person on your book wants. And how do we demonstrate that when they have to open up their servers and let us plug in and integrate when they're just trying not to crash during the Super Bowl? How can you make that case? Getting on national television is a way to make that case. So what we've done is, ahead of the technology solution, we've taken some of the existing methods of transferring and just decided, hey, if someone has a really juicy ticket, we'll make a story out of it. And, this story got tens of millions of impressions. You add up the articles that were written, the TV views, the social impressions. We're generating about $500,000 of, in-kind marketing benefit from this story that we would have otherwise had to spend. Or if DraftKings wanted to go get that same, those same impressions on their own, they'd have to spend upwards to $500,000. And I guarantee you, when you see a DraftKings banner for this, for a promo, it's going to hit a little bit differently than it does feeling like this is a story that's, Perk's talking about, that the country's talking about. So what it is for us is what they call product market fit, showing that we have a solution that people want, that it can scale nationally, and that not only does the bottom line make sense, but that this is also a marketing play. Because what we're doing is we're turning every bet into a social experience. You can do what you want with it. Maybe it ends up on ESPN, maybe it ends up in your group chat. But the ability to take this bet and share it, or to invite people to participate in it, or participate in other people's bets. It's just pretty freaking obvious. But I am impressed that we've been able to, get the attention that we have, just being basically three dudes from LA who, like you said, thought of this on a couch, wanted to settle up on Venmo. We've taken it pretty far. And so that's the fun part, honestly, Jeff, is, being in Malta and people have heard of us, being, on ESPN, getting texts from, friends back in Ohio, etc. It's really, really cool. And it makes me really excited for the future, because I think that this is, in like with East Coast sports investors, this is it's going to be a subculture. It's going to be like day trading. It's a way that people are going to think and approach the entire, sport, if you will, of gambling.
As we're going to break down, we're going to go straight down. You got some films to talk about and stuff. We're in the midst. We're kind of in the middle here, and I like to talk about the fact that there's a lot of sports coming up. We got the conference championships in both basketball and hockey right now. We got the third leg of the Triple Crown in horse racing, the Belmont, in a few weeks. We got the U.S. Open in golf coming up in a few weeks. Obviously, baseball running day by day here. We get to that all-star break, and it's kind of one of those 6 weeks to football. It's an Olympic year. So there is bet slips, wagers, by the second, by the minute. It doesn't stop. We don't just need to get to the Labor Day and football, Travis.
No, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and we're right at the center of it. So you mentioned the Olympics. That's coming up. We're doing some big things around the Olympics. We got baseball. We got the baseball charts live over here if people wanted to go put in some MLB if you're so inclined, which I definitely am interested in. I got a Yankees-Reds World Series exacta that I'm not feeling super confident about now, but I would love to get your thoughts on that. So if people want to go over here too, this is just WagerWire.com/graph. This is kind of our little financial model, if you will. There's Reds. Let me put in the Yanks. And you can, oh my God, look at that slide, Jeff.
Great time to buy on the Reds. Great time to buy.
It's a young team, man. And we can also toggle to odds here if you prefer. That this that value just normalizes it if you put $100 on either of those teams on that starting date. But we can toggle it over to odds, and dang, they're in the dumps. So could be by territory. Let's just roll up the NL Central here. So Pittsburgh. We got St. Louis. Okay, we got the Cubs. And we got the Brewers. So in the scheme of the NL Central, even though that they're in, I think, dead last, they're sitting above Pittsburgh in the odds. And in the bet values, bet value is interesting. Yeah. So that's how the NL Central looks. And your team is got to be the Sox, right?
Correct. I'm right with you with the Reds, so don't worry.
I mean, I don't know, man. I believe in them. I saw the Dodgers lose to the Diamondbacks this week. That wasn't so pretty.
No, baseball, again, it's just so who's hot, who's not. So many streaks and stuff. Again, the Sox started off great, playing way above their skis. Their pitching is, but a lot of injuries, like everyone else. Hitting inconsistent, and again, they will be fighting for the basement in the AL East this year. There's no doubt in my mind. Great eyes, by the way, Travis, on the Yankees. Are you a Yankee fan, or where'd you come up with the Yankees?
I just have a feeling about them this year. I don't know why. There's something to them. I have family that's Connecticut that are Yankee fans. So I've always kind of wanted to see that matchup.
I want to bring up one thing before we get to the movies and some other stuff here. You and I, 2+ months ago, we brought up the Dallas Mavericks. and
Yes,
how
we
they
did.
were trending. And I released out to the ECSI VIPs the Dallas Mavericks at 13-1 to win the West. And people thought I was crazy. And again, it didn't look good, but just that little gut feeling like you have with the Yankees, maybe Kyrie and Luka can make some magic here. Well, what has transpired in the last couple weeks is we have a 13-1 ticket on the Mavs, who
Wow.
were now facing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Minnesota Timberwolves opened up minus 170 to win the series. So we didn't have any hedge opportunities. And you and I talked via text, and actually Tuesday we were live talking, and I used the word hedge. And well, Dallas won game one. So now we have the perfect opportunity, and this is why. It's the fact that instead of the Wolves, who are now down 1-0 in the series, minus 170, they are plus 140 to win that series and to win the West. So what I suggested to any one of the ECSI VIPs that are holding that ticket now is, if you bet 5 units on the Wolves at plus 140, that gets that ticket now plus 700. And so you have a 13-1 ticket on Dallas. So you're either going to win 7 units on the Wolves, or you're going to win 8 units on the Mavericks, and everyone's happy.
That's amazing. I remember when you made that play. That was about 3 weeks ago, huh?
No, that was closer to almost 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Wow. So we're way back here. I mean, what a run!
Yes.
What a run the Mavs have made. Yeah.
Yes.
And we had talked about hedging. It's tougher to hedge, obviously, in the earlier rounds when there's so many teams around. That's the problem that Wayne was having, right? Because he's got 100 to win 1.7. Number one, you have to have a shit ton of money to hedge to really guarantee that upside. 1.7, where are you going to get? You're going to get a loan, or what are you going to do? And then, of course, you still got a couple of rounds to go through, plus the finals. It's almost impossible. So that's why he had an opportunity, which he didn't take, which I thought was interesting, to sell just part of his bet, right? He could have sold 50% of it. Back when he was getting those offers for 100, 150, he could have sold half of his bet, banked 50 or 75. Now, would he have, if he could, every game he could have even sold off a little bit of a chunk, depending, even if they were taking a backslide. I think that he could have pieced together, he obviously mistimed it, but I think he could have pieced together much more than he ended up settling for with that 80. I mean, definitely at the height of it. And we can look it down here. I put this is the story that ran on ESPN. This is going to go out on our newsletter as soon as I'm off here. This is a little sneak preview. This was his ticket, right? 100 to 1.7 on DraftKings. This is the original ticket. Thunder, Chiefs, Rangers, great ticket with a 50% parlay boost. And at the time he came to us, that was running at 180. He was getting a $75,000 cash out offer, which was 42 cents on the dollar, which is not super bueno. Yeah. So he syncs his DraftKings to WagerWire. So everyone wants to go on the app store, WagerWire, one word. You can do the same thing. We track your progress. We tell you the value of your bets. So he did that. It also helps us verify that this is a genuine bet. There was a crazy little hiccup, if you read this story, where there was somebody posing as the owner of the bet. This guy, I put him on blast, Sean Kohler, some 23-year-old, said that this bet was his because why not? Who's gonna know? I mean, it's just social media. You just rip a JPEG. It's like owning an NFT, right? That's like unless you can sync it to WagerWire and we can verify it because it talks to the sportsbook back end. So that's what he did. Now ESPN ran our expected kind of journey of this, which was if after game one it was at 228. If they advanced to the Western Conference Finals, it was going to go up to 330. If they went to the NBA Finals, we're talking about 720. And this is all on a $100 bet, right? So we get the graph going. This is where he started, right? So he's got this is his Rangers,
Texas
win.
Rangers, yep.
Then he hits that Super Bowl win, and that's a big jump. That's his first real big jump. His bet after the Chiefs Super Bowl ends up being worth full value what he ends up cashing out for. But he goes on this huge journey first. And then we're going into that second round Mavs game right here. And that's the peak, right? He's getting $100 cash out offer. He's getting the bet value itself is like $220. He's getting $150,000 offer to purchase it. And he says, I'm going to let it ride. So what happened? First of all, this is about the time that DraftKings starts using his slip in promotional ads, which I think is amazing. As we know, it doesn't end up perfectly for him. So that was that peak that we looked at. That was that 150 offer. That was that 100,000 cash out. And then that first slide starts to occur. Now he still says no to an offer at 100K. Then we're still sliding. He says no to an offer at 75. He tells us he wants an offer at, he'll only entertain an offer over 80. And so we start to have our buyers be like, look, dude, I don't know. I don't really believe in this team. So even though it's a huge discount to the window, I don't even think I would place it at the window if I was not even in my right mind. So he held out, and then he got that bounce when he saw that 80 number that he had in his head from like the sales negotiations on DraftKings. Boom, he slammed it. So in a way, this whole process kind of got him ready for that cash out, which is fine. We just want a good outcome for the bettor. Obviously, he could have captured more value if they sell it through us, if they cash out, if they win. It doesn't really matter. We're just here to help them know what that bet is worth, help them explore all their options. And so in Wayne's case, he ultimately made the good choice because, as we know, that ends up down here at zero just 5 days after he cashes out.
The hard part is obviously when you made the bet, you believe, and it is a journey. To win game one, you're at your peak right now. That's why we were able to hedge the 13-1 ticket, get either 7 or 8 units. He was at his peak winning game one, but then the brain starts playing tricks on you, and I think this is where WagerWire is so important and will be a part of sports forever. Once these sports books finally get the gist of this, is the fact of the matter is, you talked about selling pieces off. I think the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Jesus, if I sell this ticket and miraculously they even win this round, now they get to the finals. And what happens if they win in the Western Conference Final? Now they're in the championship, where you can sell off pieces of this and still be a part of that journey, Travis.
Totally. We had a guy actually reach out to us on Twitter. He had an 80-cent bet that he could win, I think, 28 grand on. Pretty good for 80 cents. It's worth like 8K right now. I was like, dude, you should take a couple grand off. He told me the story that the last time he cashed out a bet, it went on to win, and it was like a similar long shot. So he's like, fool me can't get fooled again, which is kind of interesting logic. I think he's just gonna be out 80 cents. But yeah, I think some books offer partial cash out, which I think is great. But this is, you get to set what percent of it you want to part with, what price you want to part with it for. You can do it round by round, game by game. You can even do it at halftime if it's a game bet. If you got a good bet that your buddies went in on, you could, just be a homie and get and sell some to them. Or, maybe it's a great way if you're the sharp dude people are always FOMOing into your bets. It's a great way to get some exposure off if you have a gut feeling that you don't want to share with your friends. The partial sales is a revelation. I think it's really going to change the game.
So you got some movies that's being from UCLA, and you're a Hollywood movie star, producer, part of that game, which actually, if you'd like to stay here and announce this, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. So the Hammer is going to join ECSI as a flagship member of the Wire Media Network, which Jeff and myself and all the people at WagerWire have been cooking up. We love Rob Pizzola. We love what they do at the Hammer. They create really awesome daily content. So what we're really going to be doing is working hand in hand with them to get it in front of more eyeballs. Like, I think it's not a surprise that WagerWire reaches maybe a more casual audience than the Hammer does. They got their diehards. Some of them are probably watching. We're going to help message that great content that the team does over there every day to different audiences and help them kind of get exposed to really the kind of the really sharp insights, the tips, the tricks, the tools, just the commentary, everything. They have their own kind of culture there at the Hammer. And I think just like ECSI, more people need to know about it. So we have some resources as a company that, we're teaming up, kind of pooling our weight. And just like we do here with Jeff, we're going to be making some great content with the Hammer.
We're super stoked, excited. I'd like to say I enjoy their work. They do an amazing job, and I think it's a perfect marriage. And I think as you guys are going, it's a perfect match, and it's just going to excel into the orbit, sir.
Absolutely. That's why we got the planets up there. We're going to space. Okay. Now, something slightly near and dear to my heart is, as you know, the motion picture industry. Right now, we are on the eve of the award for the Cannes Film Festival, the top prize, the Palme d'Or, the most elusive and prestigious prize in all of cinema. We have an incredible year there. It's a banner year with some of the, greatest living directors are turning in films, including Francis Ford Coppola. And it is a dogfight out there on the Palais right now. I got some odds up here for some films that are being talked about, but I want to do a real quick can by the numbers for everybody this morning. This is going out on our newsletter, which if you go to WagerWire.com, you can go to the bottom, put your email in, you'll get this. So Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis was the heavy favorite coming into it. It's a story about New York is destroyed in a cataclysm, and two architects, one an idealist and one a brutalist capitalist, are trying to rebuild America as essentially a dying empire with two different ethoses. People have said a lot about it. I'm not going to have an opinion on it because it's Coppola until I see it. It started out as a 4-1. It's now generously a 12-1. It got booed, it got panned. Francis is sticking to his guns. At one point, somebody during the premiere even got up and started talking to the screen, and it turned out that was actually an actor, and that Francis was kind of going 4-dimensional on it and having people in the theaters interact with the scene on the screen. Super crazy. A lot of ideas. America is like the Roman Empire in some sort of near techno future. Sounds ridiculous. That's that. Amelia Perez with Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldana is getting a ton of love. Kinds of Kindness is the follow-up from the director of Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos. Poor Things, obviously Emma Stone won Best Actress for Poor Things last year. She's also in this movie, his follow-up. It's an anthology. It's got a bunch of actors in it, including, as you see here, Willem Dafoe. 3 different stories. They play different actors in each story. Should be really interesting. And Honora has been a crowd favorite. It's a story about a sex worker, but it's about an American director named Sean Baker, who did the Florida Project. He also did a film called Tangerine, which he famously shot all on iPhones. That is been getting a ton of love. Let's go check out the numbers. So the USA has the most Palme d'Or wins in any country, which is cool. 3 countries have won that no longer exist, including Yugoslavia, West Germany, and the USSR. Film's nationality is determined by the production company submitting it, and it can have dual nationalities, as you see. Persephone, which is by Paolo Sorrentino, who did The Young Pope and recently The Hand of God about Diego Maradona. This is a France and Italian co-production, giving it 9-1 odds. France has shared wins 8 different times with countries including Iran and West Germany. The USA has never shared a win with another country. The Girl with the Needle, I put it 100-1, but it's actually having a late surge. We can talk about how it'll be affected by juries. This is a jury award. This is a jury awarded festival, and we can get into that. So, but just let's take a look at the Palme d'Or wins by nation. Now, I'm only counting the years that they called it the Palme d'Or. Sometimes they call it the top prize. Sometimes they call it the jury prize, whatever. There's different palms. There's a jury palm. There's a certain regard palm. There's a director's fortnight palm for a first-time director. There's a queer palm, a palm dog, which we'll get into. But this is for specifically the Palme d'Or. We got the USA. It's like a medal count at 13. They won the first. They really won the one of the earliest in 1955. France has won the most recent one in 2023 for Anatomy of a Fall, which we remember from the Oscar season last year. Italy 8, UK 7, Japan 4, Belgium 3, in the former Yugoslavia with 2. So they came in. USSR only has 1, Yugoslavia has 2, West Germany also had 2. So those nations no longer exist. 8 nations have 1 win. China has never won. They have 1 film in competition this year, as does Hong Kong, and I think Taiwan has 1. Anyway, 0 wins for Russia. 0 wins for China. 0 wins for Russia. For what, take that what you will. Russia also has 0 films in competition this year for semi-obvious reasons. Now, this, unlike other festivals, is really, really focused around the director, and the last 6 winners have also been the writers of their film. So the French call it auteurs, the writer-director, the total acknowledged author of the piece. Of the 22 directors with the 22 films in competition, no co-directors this time. Nearly all of them have had a film at Cannes, not necessarily have won, but they've screened. There's only 1 first-time director, Agatha Rendinger, for her film Wild Diamond, about an aspiring influencer. It's supposed to be kind of insightful, really well acted, first-time actress in that too. She's the rookie, not like Francis Ford Coppola, who's won the Palme d'Or twice, once for Apocalypse Now, once for The Conversation. His films in total have won 14 Oscars and been nominated 55 times. For Yorgos, that's the director of, Poor Things last year. He also did The Favorite. He also did The Lobster, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Dogtooth. He's a total sleeper, definitely one of the greatest writer-directors going right now. He's snuck up on us with 5 Oscar wins for his movies and 23 nominations. So he's actually, in his lifetime, tracking well above Francis for totals, which is interesting. Andrea Arnold is probably the most beloved and watched female director, I would say, a returning female director this year, with her film Bird, with Barry Keoghan, who was in Saltburn last year. She's won the Jury Prize twice. She's even won an Oscar for one of her short films. Paolo Sorrentino, who we touched on before, he's won the Palme d'Or for a film called The Great Beauty, which also got him the Oscar. Mohammad Rusalov, really interesting, is an Iranian filmmaker. He's a Cannes favorite. He's won in Certain Regard, which is one of their palms, 3 times, nominated for 6 total palms. But the film that he made this year got him sentenced to 8 years in jail by the Iranian government. Wow. So he is living in exile. He was actually able to attend the awards show, but the government of Iran, who's jailed him before, and this is a film about women and some other subjects that they're very touchy about in Iran. If he ever returns to Iran, he's got a jail sentence for him. So it's very brave of him to continue to make movies in spite of this. And I think it's going to win him another Palme, probably not the Palme d'Or, but it'll win him a Palme this year, I think, for his bravery. Trending. Women have won 2 of the last 3. France has won 2 of the last 3. I'll pause there.
How do you have so much knowledge in this? Jesus.
Well, before I knew I was getting heavily into sports, this is what I was using my brain juice on. But I honestly do think that there's so many parallels. And when we talk about, with the reason that we're keying in on Cannes, we talked about the Oscars in February. This is where the Oscars start, right? I think it was of the 10 Best Picture nominees, 4 of them had their premiere at Cannes. A lot of them touched Cannes in a bunch of different ways, but Anatomy of the Fall, which won the Palme d'Or last year, Sandra Huller was a Best Actress nominee. I can't even remember if it actually won the Best Screenplay nominee category, and then it won. Zone of Interest won foreign film, but Zone of Interest was also a Cannes film. So all of these films are going to get released at different times. Kinds of Kindness, the Yorgos film, is going to get released in June. Some of them are going to go right to streaming. Some of them get put back in the vault. Some of them even get re-edited and released when they have momentum in the fall. But this really kicks off the Oscar race. So after Saturday happens, you're going to start to see some early lines for actor, for actress, maybe even director and picture. Furiosa, the Mad Max sequel, actually had an out of competition screening last week, and people love it. People are tipping it actually Furiosa Mad Max as a potential Best Picture nom. George Miller, who's the original Mad Max director from the 80s, he's still in control of the franchise, even though they swapped out the actors. His Mad Max reboot got a Fury Road, got a Best Picture nominee. We're looking at Demi Moore is making a crazy return to form, apparently, with her film The Substance, which I think is like an Ozempic type of horror film. Unclear. Then Selena Gomez is getting a great look for that Emilia Perez movie that we talked about. Barry Coogan, again, from Saltburn, he's getting a look for Bird. So I think that you'll probably see 2 to 3, maybe like 2 is probably a safe bet of the 5 performance nominees, and actress supporting are going to probably be from Cannes Films. And I would say between 2 and 4 of the Best Picture nominees are going to be from Cannes Films. So that's why we're watching it really closely, because hard to bet on this, but when the Oscars come, we're going to have some pretty crazy data that starts day one.
And when does the Oscar race heat up?
Yeah, so the Oscar race really heats up with the shortlisting, which is in November. Okay. But I would say that the Oscar race super duper heats up around Telluride and Venice, which is like late August. Like that really kicks it off. And then there's the Producers Guild Awards, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, all those awards leading into it. The cinema, all the guilds. I would say we're going to be touching base. We're going to keep a year-long kind of like rotating kind of Oscar space, because there's a cadence of there's these spring premieres, then there's the summer blockbusters, and then when we get into the fall, the studios have already staken out the release dates by ones that they want to be really in awards consideration. They have to have a theatrical run, a limited theatrical run. There's requirements to that, so it can't just be a straight to streaming movie. That's why you'll see some films in limited release. You can only see them in Austin and LA and New York or Miami or whatever. That's so that they can check the box for the Academy. There's diversity and inclusion requirements. But I think, oh shit, I dropped a slide on here. The jury, the Cannes jury is an interesting, but we can talk about the Palm Dog, because I think it's hard to ignore what's on the screen here, which is awarded to the best performance by a canine, live or animated, or a group of canines. So we talked about Anatomy of the Fall. Messi won the Palm Dog in the Palme d'Or Anatomy of a Fall, which was also nominated for Best Picture. Demi Moore, her dog Pilaf is not even in a film, but people love Pilaf, and amazingly doesn't have to be in a film to win the Palm Dog, so Pilaf could somehow get a special prize. 3 of Palm Dog's winners' films have gone on to win Best Picture since 2010, which is pretty amazing. It's an 8-person special jury all its own in its 25th year. They also have some side categories for Mutt Moment and Palm Dog Mediterranean, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's a humanitarian award. Because, one of the previous winners, Brandy from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We see them right there. So fun stuff. But I got to pull up the jury, because the jury is really kind of the X factor here. There's a different jury president every year. This year, it's actually Greta Gerwig, who was the director of Barbie. So people will remember her from that. And also interestingly is Lily Gladstone, who was in Killers of the Flower Moon, who lost to Emma Stone for Best Actress in a shocker. Here, I'll actually switch this. It's important. So I'm going to go to screen, present, share screen. And here we go. Okay. Let me know if you can see that.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, share screen.
So what I think is interesting is looking at if the sensibilities of the jury president actually reflect upon the winner, because these are all here. Let's get this bigger. Let's get it bigger. Okay, so here we got Greta Gerwig. Here she is, married to Noah Baumbach. They co-wrote Barbie together. Noah Baumbach, most people remember him recently from Marriage Story. He also did Greenberg. He's a New York, very vetted director. This is the jury this year, led by Greta. Most notably, Lily Gladstone, who we know from Killers of the Flower Moon. David Green's on there. Also a bunch of filmmakers. First ever Native American juror here in Lily. Second ever time a female jury president. Jane Champion was the last one. Her most recent film people will remember is Power of the Dog. And I like to look at how it affects, how the judges have an effect on, and it's one person, one vote, but they make their own bylaws. It's very fluid. They don't even have to give it out, and they don't have to give it to one person. They can split. They can make special prizes. It's super French. But let's look at ones that I thought were really interesting. Okay, these are what I call on-brand choices. When Clint Eastwood was president, he awarded it to Pulp Fiction. Tarantino, Eastwood, Grit, made sense to me. Tim Burton, people know Tim Burton, wacky dude, Batman, Willy Wonka, etc. Edward Scissorhands. He awarded it to a film called Uncle Boom, Who Can Recall His Past Lives, which if you watch it is just an absolute nightmare fever dream. Kind of interesting, semi-charming. I don't like it, but it's very on brand for him. The surprise choices, ones that I was surprised by. When Quentin Tarantino was the president, he awarded it to Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. And when Steven Spielberg was the president, he awarded it to the sweeping lesbian romance Blue is the Warmest Color. So you never really know what direction a jury is going to go. But this is the most female-heavy jury ever, the second only female jury president, first one with a Native American juror. So there's a lot in play. I think it's really interesting. I trust Greta. I mean, Barbie's undeniable. So
a lot to consume there for sure. We will obviously have our weekly chats, our check-ins. You will be able to keep us updated on what is going on. And I like to say La La Land, Hollywood. You're my Steven Spielberg, I should say. So whenever I have a question, I yell, scream, holler, Travis!
I got to get Benson to let me make some lines at the Circa for these.
Jeffrey, if you're listening and watching, I know you always are. Can you hit Travis up with a quick DM?
Let me know.
I
still got your cigars here, Jeff, too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Jeff, if you need help capping anything in Hollywood, I'm your guy.
Derek, I know you guys had a big week. I know Mike Palm, I know Jeffrey Benson, they announced their Circa Millions and their Survivor, 10 million and 6 million, guaranteed 16. You and I will be doing a lot of work this fall on that. I guess I'm going to ask a quick question because you and Zach had one swing last year. You planning to go back in?
Of course, we're going to go back in. I actually think that we'll be doing a lot of content around it. The Circa Millions is a perfect use case for WagerWire. And as we know, there's always splits that are happening. So we have a solution. We're just going to be politely hanging out with the solution until they want it. But I think that it's a contest that's second to none. I know Superbook has theirs. There's certain fanfare around Circas, which, you know, we could also help bring to Superbook if they're listening. But it's nothing like it. I'd encourage everybody to play the Circa Survivor. It's a great time. We had the people that were in the Final Four on Twitter with us last year. We made it past Thanksgiving, which I hear is respectable. And it's a really great time. So everyone will go run out to Circa. If you need help with some proxies, I think between Jeff and I, we could figure it out with somebody.
Yeah, I think we could, and just maybe a food for thought. I know we set up stage here once a week for you and I, but I think maybe, just maybe, the people would like to see you and Zach talking the board out week to week and coming up with your solutions on how you did and forecasting down the road why you took this team over this team. So we might be able to make up a nice little segment for you on a week-to-week basis as be a part of your journey on the Circa Survivor.
I would love that, man. I would love that. And we can even look at we can create some visuals. I just put up the NFL charts from last year. It's so funny. All but one team goes to 0. Yeah, so we got KC right there. And yeah, man. I mean, the poor Niners, let's see what they can do. Feeling good about Joe Burrow. He's looking healthy. So I don't know. That doesn't affect Survivor, though. Survivor, you cannot. The Bengals are what screwed us. So you can never really count on your team to do anything for you in Survivor.
I remember it like it was yesterday when I reached out to who you got this week. And the hardest part is it's when it's your team. You know, I'll tell you what, week one, I'm just going to give you a quick FYI. Week one, the Bengals probably will be the most taken team in week one. They are hosting my hapless New England Patriots. They are 9-point favorites at home versus the Patriots in week one. So if you're going in with one swing and assuming you're going to take the Bengals, you might want to just grab a second team just in case and then go somewhere else. But I really think Joe and company will take care of them week one.
So there's the Burrow injury you can see reflected on the chart. Boom. Right? Is that the Burrow injury, or is that when? That's when I can't tell if that was that one or that one. There was a little bump that people thought.
I think it was that was the injury right there.
Injury. Boom. And then somehow a couple backups and Mason Rudolph gave enough hope that it almost retraced 50%. I guess they were knocking on the door of a potential wild card. They're one game away, and then all hope dies. Boom. So
I get a shout out to Russell Saylor and Marty Lowe. When I go and we blow up the screen, I'm not able to see the questions. I've kept Travis here for well over 45 minutes. I just got to have a couple quick questions for you, Travis, at Russell, if he's still here. He goes, does the true value on your calculator consider the available prices on the no? So in other words, if you go to Circa, they got a yes and they got a no. How's the true value on your calculator consider the available price on the no, or does it?
It's a very, very good question. So currently, it's only considering that bet itself. It's not considering any of the other side, any of the iterations. It's not, and it's also not considering if the bet is still being offered, because like win totals and stuff they take down. So we're not considering the no, and we're not considering availability. We're just charting that bet object itself. However, we are working on advanced models that do exactly that, and also take into account a lot of factors. That's a very astute question, and I'm actually going to tell my data science team that you guys mentioned that. So I think the no factor is, and not a lot of books offer it, so it's definitely something interesting to consider.
Yeah, and then Russell says when Wayne took the 80K, the best no that he could find would have paid 117. So you're right. Like Circa, we always talk about Jeffrey Benson, Derek, the Circa. They're the Mecca. They're second to none. And no disregard to anyone else in business. We're not here. My backdrop today is in a very well-respected, the Superbook, Westgate, Mr. Cornegay, Mr. Murray, and all of that. And great book there. I had some great times there, and will again in July, hopefully, God willing. But the no, you don't see that very often, but that's the level that these guys are at there, Travis.
Yeah, second and none, like you said, and like just so people watching do refresher, like there's very few bookmakers in the world. Not to drag like the big guys, but DraftKings and FanDuel, they're not making their lines the way the Superbook is making their lines. Jay's making their lines. Derek's making their lines. Like the Circa, Superbook, Pinnacle. These three guys it takes a talent, and it's maybe 24 people in the world that set the lines for everybody, right? That everyone's betting on all their apps. So it's a special skill, special people, and there's only a few places in the world that do it. And the rest of the people just try to follow as fast as they can, which is a business choice that they make. But it takes effing balls to put your neck out there and take risks. But it's also smart because the way that they do it, they allow people like you and other sharps to actually help them find the correct line, and they have ways to do that. So they're just very smart about it. I mean, they're a fair book. Everyone that we just said, the operation that Jay runs, Derek runs, fair, amazing books. The Mecca, love them. So shouts out.
Well, we can't thank you enough. Shout out to Russell Saylor. Great questions, guys. Keep it up. Marty Lowe, Roll Tide. Have a great Memorial Day weekend as always. Travis, they know where they can find everyone on X at WagerWire. Obviously, you are the CXO, the good doctor himself, Zach, CEO. Tell everyone where to find your work, where they can go. Obviously, every show we're pumping you guys, telling them to download the app if they haven't. Sign up for the affiliate program. I'm turning it over to you to wrap this up, sir.
Everyone right now, everything that we just did, we watched, we talked about the calculations that we did, we talked, the graphs, that's just on wagerwire.com. You can also see content in there in our community section. You can sign up for that newsletter that I previewed. We got articles down here. There's my can. I just did a can show, I guess it was 2 days ago now. We had Matt Chaparellas, the former chief content officer of PointsBet, on, talk about his parlays. We got all kinds of good stuff. We got merch. We got charities. WagerWire.com is a great place to get started. If you want, while you're there, just go ahead and get our app. It's free. Everything's free. You can sync your sports books to it. You can track your progress. You can see what your friends are betting on, even if you wanted to add them on there. See your profit and loss, which too oftentimes gets obscured by the sports books who just would rather it go into that old dusty bin in the corner of your account. We're here to just have everyone have a good time, and we don't make money off of losses. We just make money off of trades and signups. So we're rooting for you. If you want to cash out, if you want to hold it, if you want to sell it, we're all here for it. If you have an interesting ticket, hit us up. Best way to find us is through our website. Just hit us up. And if it's interesting, we could try to get you on ESPN.
With Perk and the boys. So everyone, thank you again. I want everyone to have a great Memorial Day and weekend. Be safe, guys. Next week is the last full week in the month of May. We turn the calendar next Saturday to June 1st already. I just don't know where the there you go. Russell Saylor has a Pacers stick.
I do not want to buy your Pacers ticket. I try not to buy the tickets. We just connect buyers and sellers, but I'll look for somebody who got hit over the head to buy a Pacers ticket from you if you want.
There you go, Russell. So everyone, in about 23 minutes.
No, but Russell, actually, if it's a good ticket, you can actually message us. We'll have the guys take a look at it. He says, come on.
Russell, send it over. You two connect and show them what you got, and you never know. I think that, honestly, the Pacers are live in Game 3, but we obviously need to see if Halliburton will play there. Mr. Carlisle pulled the plug a little too early for some people's likings yesterday. But anyways, in Indy Saturday and on Monday with the Indianapolis 500. So that city will be rocking. So in about 20, let me see, my math's right. Yeah, 22 minutes. Myself, Matt Grissom, and Quentin Mills will be the NCAA insiders talking 3 Men in a Box, college baseball, the conference championships, and then the road to Omaha starts next week. As always, we can't thank Travis enough. Go follow him at WagerWire and sign up with them. Download that app. It's free. And great standing room only crowd today. So, guys, thank you so much. And we will catch up.
My grandma. My grandma's a big fan of the show. Shout out to my grandma. She loves watching. Shout out to Kara, who actually co-hosted our Can Space on Twitter last night, or 2 days ago, if you want to go watch it. But shout out to Grams in Arizona, to my mom, to my sister Morgan, and to everybody in your community. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. We will be doing so many more shows. I just can't wait. So at least once a week, and then come the fall, maybe a couple times a week. Like I said, Travis, Zach, talking week to week in the Circa Survivor. Maybe once in a while we could get Mr. Benson or Derek on for a little cherry on top. How's that?
Even if we got to walk right onto the floor, yeah, we'll do it.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Travis Geiger at WagerWire CX. So wish everyone a blessed morning and afternoon. Be safe out there, and we will see you soon.